OneAcademy is the heart of our company. Cryptocurrency is not an easy product. It's a very innovative product based on technology and based on very, very complex concepts. For us to be part of this financial revolution, to be part of cryptocurrency and of a community, we need to understand exactly what we do and what we talk about. And this is why we have the OneAcademy. The OneAcademy provides you with concepts, provides you with explanation on cryptocurrency and on the financial world. I would encourage everybody to join the courses, to do the certificates, and to understand thoroughly how to use cryptocurrency, what cryptocurrency is, and how we can change the world by using cryptocurrency. OneAcademy. Learn today, lead tomorrow.
And a blessed and very precious good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to you, wherever you are in the world of OneCoin, in the world of finance. We are here once again, lunch and learn on our Zoom call, OneAcademy. So I'm your host for today. My name is Brother Noel Emmanuel Jack, and I'm from the beautiful island of Trinidad and Tobago. And we welcome those of you who are from the Caribbean, and all of you who are watching on YouTube, or if you are on the Zoom and you are international. What is OneAcademy? OneAcademy is an innovative e-learning platform covering a broad range of topics, including financial areas such as financial analysis, asset management, forex, the stock exchange, cryptocurrency, blockchain technology, and much, much, much more. Our mission is to provide our students with the guidance and educational material needed to achieve financial literacy. OneAcademy was developed by financial experts and academics. It is highly structured and easy to understand. You learn at your own pace and can be part of that fine future of global financial reset. Our intention is to give you a unique sense of understanding and facts which you can use to enhance your daily lives, as well as promote our core product that's in your quest to become certified, knowledgeable, and wise business leaders and money managers. We do this every midday in Trinidad and Tobago. We are extremely excited and very passionate about this One Life opportunity and the impact of our education on our community. It has so positioned us to create wealth and to achieve financial success and freedom. And today, joining us on our OneAcademy Zoom call is a panel of, very experienced, very learned men, some for 35 years, some for 40 years, very, very versed people who will be sharing some information with you concerning finance. So take a pen, call a friend, call a neighbor, sit down and learn from the experts in OneAcademy. I now introduce to you one of the team leaders in the OneAcademy in Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean, might I say internationally. He's a diamond consultant with his wife, Michelle Mark. They are both the IAM team, the power couple, and he's going to introduce to you the panelists for today's discussion. And after that wonderful discussion we will have the merchant of the day, where we'll feature a top merchant who will show you how you can benefit from Deal Shaker. Now, I now introduce to you Mr. Ivan Luther Mark. The call is over to you, sir.
Right. Thank you so much, Noel, for that marvelous introduction. Good night, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in this lovely earth. And I hope that you are safe. I hope that you're well, you're in good spirits, because every day is a new beginning. So yes, we are in the OneAcademy, and what we do is that we try to bring what's in the OneAcademy onto you so that you could utilize it, because it's all about utilization. It's all about getting that information that will empower and enhance your life. So today what we're going to do is actually continue on the pathway of a panel discussion that we basically continued from Friday last week. We had on Monday, and we're going to try and conclude it today with some tips on how you can actually get over this crisis that we are in, because it is very, very important that you come out on the winning end of this crisis opportunity situation, because it is both. It depends on how you look at it and what you do in this circumstance. So I'll get right to it. I would share my screen. We'll have a short video. I'll do it in 3 parts. We'll have a short video. We'll have a mini presentation in which we will do that panel discussion, and then we would just sort of synopsize and end it off with just final comments, okay? So allow me to share my screen and get right into it. Okay, so I begin with this quote. What we think or what we know or what we believe is in the end of little consequence. The only consequence is what we do. And that was coined by John Ruskin. And it is a very powerful statement, because at the end of it, no matter what we know, what we say, you know, they say talk is cheap. So too sometimes is knowledge, because you have all this knowledge, but you don't do anything. So what better are you at the end of the day? So I'll just get right into this video. This video here is a discussion, and it is eye-opening. And what we'll do is have some follow-up with it. So let's get right into this video, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Every day they're printing 125 billion. Every single day. And they're going to print more and more money, which means savers are losers, just as I predicted. Your money is going to be worthless in a few years. It's a real problem of this crisis. Started back in 1904, when the richest guys on earth took over the education system in the United States. They formed a thing called the General Education Board. It was formed by guys like Rockefeller and J.P. Morgan. And what they pulled out of education was financial education. And so the reason they could rip us off, as you and I know, is via the mechanism of money. And that's why I wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. It was a warning shot across the bow back in 1997. I said, wake up, something's coming down the road. So we're here right now. This is the biggest transformation in the history of the world. It's from industrial age to information age. If you're losing money right now, the problem starts in what you were taught in school. Because they never taught you anything about money. They never taught you about a financial statement, like my rich dad did. They teach you that diploma is everything. It's a piece of toilet paper. BS.
And you buy into that mechanism of money, and you believe that that is the only thing to focus on. And what you're saying right now with these stimulus packages is all of this money being given, quote unquote, away by the government to everybody is actually devaluing your dollar, it's devaluing your pension, it's devaluing your savings, and it's wiping out businesses. You're dying by this sword.
Yeah, and the harder you work for money, the poorer you're going to get. That's the tragedy. So this is how what Fuller talked about, the prison is inside our head, Buckminster Fuller. It starts with misinformation and misorientation. Misinformation, misorientation. And he says, how dare our schools punish kids for making mistakes? How else do you learn if you don't make a mistake and learn from your mistake? He says, God designed us to learn by making mistakes. For instance, a baby learns to walk by falling down. Baby learns, to ride a bicycle by falling off the bicycle. Tiger Woods, the greatest golfer ever in the history of the world, because he made more mistakes than you and I did. But our schools punish you for making mistakes. That's misorientation, misinformation.
And that's because our schools were basically built to create workers that will do what you tell them to do because they value this thing called money. And they think that's going to allow them to live a life. And that's obviously completely wrong, because the rich don't work for money. The rich create their own wealth. And when a time like this happens, it becomes blatantly obvious what's going on with the people that are understanding money and the ones that aren't.
You see, the stimulus package is bailing me out. And I need to be bailed out. I mean, I have massive amounts of debt. So the first time in history, Brian, I'm not a real estate guy, but I have a lot of real estate. They're bailing out commercial real estate because that's what the rich really have. So all this tall office buildings and shopping centers and all that, they're all collapsing right now. 2008, it was, those credit default swaps. It was for residential real estate. So they bailed them out. This next crash is for the hedge funds and private equity that invested in all this commercial real estate. So I have another $100 million project coming out, but I just got bailed out. I just got backed up by the Fed and the government. So that's why it's socialism for the rich. Unfortunately, there's capitalism for the poor middle class, those that work for money. You're on your own.
Right.
You run a small restaurant and you got to let go of your staff. You're no different than your staff right now. So for many people, this corona crisis and the ensuing depression that we're going into is your wake-up call, or you're going to be a victim, and somebody's going to step on you, that the little worm you are, because you didn't metamorphosize. You didn't transition from an immature form to a mature form.
Now, people are at home right now watching this, and they're like, okay, Robert, I wanna metamorphosize. What do they start doing? What are some steps they can start doing right now? Do they think about this whole concept of the information age versus the industrial age? Do they think about how they start a business? Do they go back to the basics of Rich Dad, Poor Dad? What are some of the things they can do to really get some momentum and start getting out of that cocoon?
Well, let me start again. The metamorphosis begins when you look in the mirror. And it's just like when I was going to blow this little boy's head off in Vietnam. I said, why am I doing this? Why am I going to kill this little 10-year-old boy? And he wasn't Viet Cong. I was justified by the rules of engagement to shoot him. But one day why am I doing this? And if you're standing in front of the mirror today, with this coronavirus and looming depression, how did I get here is the question. What don't I know? What did my information, education, cultural background, what did not prepare me for today? That's where the transformation of the metamorphosis begins. You take responsibility. Everybody talks about rights, but we have personal responsibilities too. And unfortunately, our university systems have failed us miserably. And the reason for that is every professor wants tenure. That's my whole family. That was the most important thing about getting a job, was tenure. Job security for life. And that's what they teach kids without knowing it. They teach kids that life is dangerous and you need to be protected. So they're immature. College professors are some of the most immature. They might be very smart mentally, but immature financially. They can't take care of themselves. So they're teaching kids to be victims. That's why these trigger mechanisms, and you can't say words that are hurtful and all this stuff. So they're teaching that you're a victim, you're vulnerable. And what you teach and what I teach is that, hey, don't be a victim, be proactive.
Yeah, no, but you're right. This could be the greatest wake-up call for most of the citizens around the world. And look, from what we see with the numbers, most people are going to survive through this. But let's be honest, it also could have been worse. So the question is, are you going to start making choices today about your health, about your obesity, about your smoking, about your habits? Are you going to start making choices today about your financial education? And are you going to take ownership for where you're at right now? Unfortunately, everything you hear coming out of the media is preaching it's not your fault and the government's going to take care of you, and that's just going to set you up to be a slave, and then the next crisis is going to hit and the next crisis is going to hit. And again, I completely agree with you, Robert. This is perhaps one of the best chances in your entire life to literally be smacked into consciousness and say, wait a second, it's time I stop living in fear, take ownership of what's happening, and do, as you said, which is, what does God want you to do? And you explain this in a good way. And God, that is different than what you want to do. What you want to do for you is this selfish ego talking. What God wants you to do is what you're supposed to do for the greater good. And it sounds counterintuitive, but that choice always brings you financial prosperity, spiritual prosperity, and a great life.
It's really not so much what God wants us to do. What does God want done? It's a pain in the butt. It's easier just to take the bailout. And for me, I get up every morning. The hardest thing, Brian, is I have so much money coming in now. I have to fight lethargy, complacency. I got mine. Screw you guys. You know, that's what I battle now. I told you so. I told you so. You didn't listen to me. All of that, because we're all human beings. I have a good side and a bad side. I battle me every morning. It goes on between this year and that year.
We see that when big checks are being written, no matter if it's in the UK or the US or any other country, that means that basically they're giving the money on this way and they're taking it back the other way. They're taking it from us somewhere, because money doesn't come for free.
When I saw right after 9/11, I saw the next increment come in, Rich Dad's prophecy. And I said the biggest financial crash was going to come in 2016. Now, I didn't foresee quantitative easing. But we didn't have, back in 2002 when this book was published, there was no quantitative easing and there was no zero interest rate policy. And I went, oh my God, and then Trump got elected. So this was postponed 4 years. It's here today. Rich Dad's prophecy is more true today than ever before. And it's about why the biggest stock market crash in history was still coming. Wall Street Journal trashed me. They took me to the cleaners, said, you don't know what you're talking about. And I don't blame them, because I was threatening their nest, you know what I mean? The real problem isn't the stock market. The real problem is the shadow banking system. The banking system, the financial markets we don't see, you know, which is the repo market, the consumer corporate credit market, and then the commercial paper market. They're broke. So this stuff was happening in September last year. But they keep hyping it, you know, CNBC and those guys. I know they have a job to do. They keep hyping this market up. So the market was hitting great peaks. And so I told my friends who have 401ks and IRAs and all this stuff, I said, hey, did your financial planner call you in December and tell you to get out? No, they told you to stay in. They told you to stay in. And meanwhile, the stimulus package comes in, it jacks the price. After they started to deflate, the stimulus market came in, they popped it up again so guys could escape. So the rich could escape. Meanwhile, they're on CNBC telling you, stick it out, stay for the long term, you know, the market will bounce back. Oh, give me a break. Are you that stupid? Can't you see what they're doing? And the fact is they cannot. So this crash, as you know, just prior to this crash was called the everything bubble. Stock market was high, real estate was high, I don't know what else was high, gold and silver, everything was high. The trouble now, everything's deflating. I'm in serious trouble financially at one end because I own hotels and I have 8,000 rental units. Today, they're not paying rent. Now, does that affect me? Of course it does. But the way the rich, or my rich dad taught me to play the game is I have LLCs and S corporations and C corporations. Corporations, I hide behind that. I own nothing technically. They can sue me for my money, but they'll sue a limited liability corporation. They can't touch me. So this is what I taught in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. So it's not the asset. I have businesses, I have real estate, I have stocks, bonds. I don't have any stocks, bonds. I have gold and silver, I have oil. Now, is my oil guy in trouble? No, because he didn't finance his oil drilling with debt. You know, so some people are doing really well because they saw this coming. So it's not the asset class. It's really understanding or looking behind the curtain, seeing the wizard. Right now is Powell and Larry Summers and these guys. I mean, they misled us totally. So am I going to cry? No. What am I going to do? I'm going to change me. Now, I can't change them, but I can change me. That's my attitude. Now, gold goes up and down because the gold market is manipulated. You know, the futures market, the ETF market, GLD, SLV, and then physical gold. So the thing I think is interesting is the price of gold goes down, but you can't buy any gold at the physical market. So the futures market is coming down, the GLD price is coming, the paper market is coming down, but physical, you can't get anything on it. Why? It's because the rich are hoarding it. The rich are hoarding gold and silver like toilet paper and guns. The poor and middle class are calling their financial planner, and the financial planner is telling them to stay in it for the long term. And meanwhile, the rich are getting out. Wake up is my message.
Wake up is the message. And that, my friends, is what this call is about today, for you to wake up, because a lot of times we take things for granted and we say, okay, this is just another bump in the road. Yes, it may be for some who are prepared, and that's one of the key things. For those who are prepared, anything is possible. And many times we always get caught with our proverbial pants down, as they say. And, that is something that no matter what we say or do, always seems to happen, that we get caught with our pants down. Survival of the most prepared. That is what today is about. So what do? You are in the crisis. So there's a before, there's a during, and there's an after. So we are, of course, during, and just now the after will be. So what do? Begin and maintain regular. Now this is coming out of our OneAcademy, page 12. 2 sets of OneAcademy I am using. 2 sets of the manuals. I'm using the old manual as well as the new manual. They both have correlated information. Some have it better than some. But they say begin and maintain regular family discussions about money. How many of us, and you all could put in the chat room, how many of us literally have discussions about money, especially now that we are home, now that you're not reaching home too late, so that your children, probably in bed and so forth. When was the last time you had a discussion with your family on what we could do as a unit? Because if we go to tackle this thing individually, we would not get far, the distance that we want to get. It has to be a group, survival thing. It has to be that. So the family situation is relevant, right? Keep clear. Now, he said that he has a lot of debt. Somebody's mic is unmuted. Could you mute your mic, please? Right? Keep clear of consumer debt, except, of course, when it is investment. So if you know that there's a particular investment that will bring you a certain return, it is okay to get in debt because the investment will take care of that. The returns will take care of that. Consumer debt, of course, which is always the worst time to get into any debt, cars, anything like that. It is critical that you stay away from those things. Clear your mortgage as soon as possible. If you have a little bit of savings, it may be wise to do that, because what happens is that all of the banks will give you some leeway. They usually come with a balloon situation at the end of the mortgage where you have to pay this big amount. Please talk and speak to your bankers immediately in order for you to understand where you are at, do your financial statements, and know exactly where you are situated in this crisis. Make sure that the emergency fund is stocked up. Now, this is one of the things that a lot of time the working class don't have sufficient of. Emergency fund to take care of things like this, so that you could exist for 12 months before anything, because usually it takes 12 to 18 months for a situation like this to really settle. And you want to be able to take care of your family, your bills, everything that is worthwhile within that 12 months while you readjust, right? Ensure food security. Now, why this is important, especially in this circumstance, is because and I say all industries have been affected by this COVID-19, because you have the shutdown. You have shutdown of oil, you have shutdown of certain food production, you have shutdown of airlines. So you have a wide range of industries being affected, and you need to secure your food. Again, this is a family discussion. And what you may want to do is employ the cooperative society sort of structure in order to get and make sure that you have that food supply. All right. So if you want to get more information on these topics, go to page 12 and page 6 of your OneAcademy level 1, and you would get more details. I would like, at this point in time, I would just like to, because I see the time is going so quickly, just open up with Mr. Alvin Morton just for you to come in. And if you look at any one of these points that we have here, which was the one that you think really affects? I mean, they all affect us, but which is the one you would tend to do first, Mr. Morton?
Thanks again, Ivan, for introducing and allowing us to contribute. Again, very powerful video shared. Let me start there. And this is coming from a gentleman who knows the ins and outs of this particular arena. I have read Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad a few times, twice. Then there's Rich Dad, Poor Dad Guide to Investing. I've played the cash flow quadrant game and so on. So all of these are right up the alley, and we see a lot of reinforcement coming from what the OneAcademy says, and some of the videos I have played in my own presentations on this from Chris Martinson of Peak Prosperity. You have this gentleman from Mike Maloney, Hidden Secrets of Money. So there's a lot. This is it's coming from too many different places to be ignored and certainly to be considered as irrelevant, if not nonsensical. It's definitely a time to wake up. The first thing that I think is key, apart from the discussion, because we also must recognize that sometimes there are different perspectives within a family. So the person and certain roles and responsibilities fall to certain people. So yes, there must be a discussion, but there is also the need to act once the clear and present danger has been identified.
Yes.
And sometimes that would require you to act first and then have the discussion after. In some households, that may exactly be the case. But you must act from a place of information and perspective. I'm not about to argue with Robert Kiyosaki if he says, if people at the investment planners are saying stay in, while Chris Martinson will tell me when Fed money is created or printed out of thin air or added as digits on a balance sheet, the first place that goes is to prop up paper instruments, the very things that the investment planners will tell you to stay in.
Yes.
That there's a clear reinforcement there. So that is something to get out of. We are seeing the anomalies with gold. Okay, and I'm more than happy to have conversations privately with people on that and how that can be closed, because there are options. But having said that, yes, your ETFs are going down. The price of gold is going down, but yet you cannot get any. It seems to be a little bit of a strange scenario where, on the one hand, the economics 101 dictates that once demand is up because you cannot get the physical instrument and supply is fixed, then the price should go up. So that requires us to think. Consumptive debt. We have abandoned the principles and common sense principles at that of our grandparents, who understood that we need to save, we need to do balanced parcels. I don't know even if some people know what those things are anymore. And rather than borrow now, to borrow for the future to spend today, we need to save and pay it forward. The challenge is, of course, in our grandparents' time, the issues that we face with inflation weren't as either in effect or as pronounced. Because from 1665 or thereabouts, for 100 odd years, you saved $1, you had $1. And that would have been coming forward in subsequent generations. Once the military-industrial complex and the Cold War and a lot of these other devices became available, inflation became a feature that now seems a permanent part of the landscape. So saving now has to be modified as a concept and as a paradigm. The next thing I would go to is the actual paradigm. we are operating with a paradigm that needs to be changed. Paradigms get formed in very early stages of our development. So we hear that money doesn't grow on trees, you cannot have anything and everything you want, and so on. And then we come to see, but they are having everything and anything that they want. What is it then that is different? The difference, of course, is the paradigm that governs the results we are getting, and that is actually driving the actions that we are taking. So we can have the world of knowledge. You could be like me and have MBAs and a lot of other letters falling off the edge of the card, according to Bob Proctor, but then still be very unhappy with the results that are not commensurate with all of these accolades that you have acquired, that you've spent money to obtain, and the like. So to recap, certainly we have to, savings is important, whether it's by emergency fund and those other instruments, and maybe a session specifically on the mechanics of building that might be important. The discussion is important, but in some cases we may need to take action first and discuss after, once we have become convinced and have done the due diligence, which is what the OneAcademy promotes and provides assistance and input with.
Yeah, and you know, one of the key things that Dr. Ruja said in her book, it's really not about just financial information, it's about financial reformation. So literally, one has to metamorphosize in order for them to understand and to act, because I always akin it to like a bad marriage. Sometimes, you know, there's a marriage and it is uncomfortable, but people are comfortable in the uncomfortableness in that sense. And we do the same with our finance. We are uncomfortable, you know, but it is what is known. And you know, you made a point about gold and silver and all these things, because that is a key indicator about the strength and what is going on globally. Allow me, I know we're going over time. The merchant of the day, please, let's hold on. Let's put a good end to this discussion. You know, and I just want to share my screen again and just go through something that we have not gone through. You know, we know about it. All right, share screen. Okay, are you all seeing this dead clock here? Yeah?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if we go to the far right, you are seeing some figures here. Dollar to crypto ratio now, paper to gold ratio now, right? Paper to silver ratio, dollar to gold ratio per ounce, and so forth. What this signifies is really, for instance, this here, paper to gold ratio now. For every ounce or so of gold, they are literally 87.97, you could say, you know, ETFs and stuff for that one. So just like how they do fractional reserve banking, it is happening also in this circumstance. For silver, and that's why you cannot get, and you heard Robert Kiyosaki said that, you know, it's not only him saying that, people from Kitco and all these other, and Mike Maloney, all of them basically saying the same thing, that you cannot get gold because the rich people are hoarding it, because they know what is coming, right? And they're getting rid of their paper. If you look at silver, it's even worse, 174.07 to 1. You understand what's taken? That's paper, all right? And look at the dollar ratio now. 29.03, right, in 1913. Now 21,251 per ounce. So that in itself tells a fantastic story. And if you dig deep down in this debt clock and you look at all the figures, for instance, there are some things here that are going down. Let me see. Assets per citizen, that will go down. Total personal debt, if you dig deep in these figures, you would understand that it is such a slippery edge. It's not even funny again. All right. But I just wanted to highlight this as you spoke about, and we heard Robert Kiyosaki talk about that in that extent. But he's saying that you must act now, right? This is something that will smack you in the face, and it is what the reality is. So I just want to close off with just ending this session and let you see that there are some things that we must do. We must disrupt and change our own system. So literally coming out on this end, and these are 4 key things that you would need to do, all right? Because we are talking about existing during and post-COVID. Learn sales. And people will say, what am I doing in sales? I'm a doctor, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm an engineer, and all these things, all right? You need, and salespeople are the highest paid people in the world. When you look at all the entrepreneurs, they are fantastic salespeople. They can sell a vision. We have 3.6 million people. We were sold a vision by the person, the entrepreneur who started this, and they sold it so well that the vision is really embedded in us. So you need to have that skill set in any circumstance, right? Become an entrepreneur. You also, because it is better, you heard Robert Kiyosaki literally saying, and it's not him alone, he's saying the ones who have the jobs are messed up. Those are the ones that will pay the highest price because they are taxed the most. He is an entrepreneur, he don't pay tax. And not only that, the stimulus packages literally bails out the rich. That is what the stimulus package is all about. The stimulus package is not really helping the working class. And you have to understand, so anytime you as a working class person hear about stimulus package, you get frightened, and you're supposed to. So you need some course in entrepreneurship. And an entrepreneur is not just like a small business person or anything like that. No. An entrepreneur is one that looks for certain amount of income producing facilities and really explore, builds it, and moves on. That is an entrepreneur. Choose the right industry. And many times people are in an industry and you suspect that, listen, this will help me through my life. And I have tenure on it, not knowing that something is coming that will just totally destroy that industry. So you need to look at what will exist after and choose that industry and try to get into it and get on. Choose the right platform, because that is critical. You may choose the right industry, you may become an entrepreneur, but you have the wrong platform to really exploit. And you have to be able to choose the right platform and choose the right team of people to work with so that you will benefit the most. So you identify these 4 skill sets and areas, you put it together, and this here will serve you in any crisis, because a salesman is a salesman. He could take up something if he's a good salesman. And I always say one of the, Edwin Wilson always come to mind when I talk about salesmen, because he makes you see a certain picture and somehow he makes you want to be a part of it. So too is Father King James. So too any one of the leaders that has passed through our company. They are all great salesmen. And you start with that and you explore. But these are some of the things that you need to disrupt your own system with immediately. You don't have to wait, right? There are many things on sales, sales development, and so forth. You need to get this skill more than anything else, the ability to sell. All right? So with that being said, I'll end there. I would like, just before I go, I have to ask Hades just to say something, and then we'll get into our merchant of the day. Sorry to keep you back, but it is vital that we get through these things.
Yeah, pleasant morning, Ivan.
Yeah, pleasant morning.
All right. So one of the things that we emphasize on no, it was at the bottom of the list was basically food security.
Yeah.
And I want to encourage people, right? Everybody's trying. Everybody might be at different financial levels in terms of what they would like to achieve right now, but start where you are and start with what you have. If you have arable land, if you have empty containers, if you have earth, if you have manure, please plant some food. Because even if it comes down to that food being something that you can barter with, you have a fighting chance.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm being real right now because I know that there are a lot of people, even within the network, we have coins, but we don't have a lot of options. And this is a serious option. It's better you have something that you could negotiate with than nothing. I remember years ago understanding what is to come. I knew that in time to come, that we, once we learned the education, would be able to barter when this critical period comes. And we could be able to acquire houses and cars and lands for cryptocurrency because we've paid attention. So I just encourage the callers or the persons on the call to really look at it in a serious way. Try as much as you could to become independent or interdependent, because we have to consolidate as well to make some strides. So we will have to put our heads together collectively and come up with a master plan in order to survive this thing, because each one has to come together and add value to the whole, right?
Yeah.
So thanks a lot for allowing me to shine in.
Yes. That family meeting to me is very important, very crucial. Many times, especially if you have young adults as children, many times they also bring to the fore, because somehow the millennials look at things totally different. Again, in doing a lot of research, the millennials really don't like working for people. They don't. They love being, they love adding value, contributing, but not only to you, to an employer, but many employers. And I think we could also look at that. Our One Life community on the whole should also plan certain things, become more clangish and come together, because we have that strength in our numbers. And we have also the education and the ability through many members to get certain things done where the skill sets are concerned. I am tempted to ask, let me see, Mr. Kesby. Is Mr. Kesby here? Yes, Kes, just 2 minutes quick.
Greetings, Ivan.
Yeah.
Well, I have had a couple of interesting comments go before me.
Mm-hmm.
But what is sticking in my mind is Robert Kiyosaki said, the harder you work for money,
Yes.
or you will be. So it is imperative that we begin to use our minds. We need to come up with ideas like Dwayne Cadiz just said. At least food will give you a bargaining chip. So how many other bargaining chips can you accumulate? Can you identify? Can you create? Because the new money would not be money. The new money is data and your intellectual prowess. How can you add value? That will be the new money, because the overprinting that cash, quantitative easing, is going to be the end of us all. Short and sweet. Thank you, Ivan.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, and that will be the end of us all for true, because it's a fantastic way for the who is who to take our money. And I mean, this is not me saying that. This is people who were in the Federal Reserve, being, there running the show. They know exactly what is going on behind the scene, because the bankers here, the bankers who work for banks, they don't have a clue of what things are happening. but we have that opportunity. So we just wanted to highlight that because those are things that will be needed, of course, for you to survive. And you know that what you have survived on up until here, there is no way that that will allow you to survive after. So you need to disrupt your own system. So with that being said, I hand back over, of course, to our host, Mr. Noel Jack, to end this talk. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Ivan and Mark, for that interesting panel discussion where we looked at what is happening in our world as far as the economic crises are concerned. And indeed, where there's crisis, there's always room for opportunity. So we are talking all about retooling, reskilling, positioning yourself well on the right platform, becoming an entrepreneur, and actually doing what is required to not only survive, but to strive. So it has been a wonderful call, and I thank you kindly, all those who participated today. Now, we reached the time in our call here where we are featuring our merchant of the day, and our merchant of the day is Cheryl Ann Stewart. She's aged 41 years. She's a mother of 4 beautiful children, and the name of her business on the deal sheet is 4 Smiles Catering Limited. 4 Smiles Catering Limited. She has been in catering for over 21 years. It's quite a lot of experience, but started her own business 7 years ago. She loves to cook food and put smiles on her customers' faces. Cooking is my passion, she said, and she specializes in all types of foods. And Dwayne Cadiz was just talking about food security and how we should really innovate, learn new methods and so on to secure ourselves and our families. Talking all about food on the Deal Shaker today is Mrs. Cheryl Ann Stewart. So welcome to our call, Cheryl Ann. The call is now over to you. Thank you.
Hearing me? Everybody hearing me?
Loud and clear.
Loud and clear, Summer.
Morning, morning. How everyone going? Well,
Good.
I will make it short.
Okay.
Must not want to be in the video.
Yeah, that's
Well,
okay. That's your system. That is all right.
Yeah. Well, in my little bio, I love doing food. I love doing, the thing that I love. And, with my cooking, everybody on on the platform here know how I cook and how I deal and how I keep myself and whatnot. And always doing my best to keep people's safety. Well, in light of the COVID, I'm not doing anything because that's my choice. Because I take in safety first, you know. With Deal Shaker, I love being on Deal Shaker, and it gives me the experience to make my stuff, my food, worldwide. Not only for us here in Trinidad, but worldwide. And hopefully one day I could open my restaurant and welcome the world to our West Indian food, and my taste and my style and whatnot.
So
But
Cheryl, we have
yeah,
seen some of your deals. These deals
yes,
has expired, right? But we have seen some of these
yes.
deals. Could you tell us a little more of what these deals, what it involved, what it was like, type of
Well,
feedback you got from
it
the
was
customers?
wonderful because usually I do my deals by orders because for the deals that I put up here, um, we have a thing called One Market, and I did that for the One Market, and it it was great. It was excellent. I I my returns was wonderful, and the support from everybody was excellent, and everybody enjoyed themselves. And I always try to come out with new things. I don't do the like the lasagna. I do curry on spot. I did curry on spot. And when I do my deals, I always um take in consideration people taste, because I don't use salt. I'm not a fan of salt, but the food tastes like it has salt in it. But I get good feedback, and after that, you'll find I getting calls. Some are, do you do orders for roti, or do you do orders for, I specialize in sauce and jira and them other stuff like that, and it turns out pretty well, and
So you
I
do you offer 100% deals or part coins, part cash?
part
What's the
coins,
ratio?
part cash. I do part coins, part cash, because for me, it being honest, the I can't go in the grocery as yet with coins. So majority of my stuff I have to buy it with paper dollars, with cash. So I do it cash and part coins. So I could always, once I gain coins into my one coin account, and I have the dollars to go back and buy over the produce, and and to roll over, as you could say,
Okay.
to have that coming in all the time.
So what can we expect finally, just to wrap up, what can we expect post-COVID?
For
What can we expect post-COVID, after COVID pass?
Oh,
What can
well,
we expect
post
from you?
COVID, I hope it have a big one market. So when that big one market coming out with everything, I coming out and make a nice meal, and let everybody come back in, and make some more coins, make some more cash, make everybody happy, put some more smiles on everybody's face. Because I know we waiting for this one
Amen.
market to come out so everybody could come back out to be normal.
Okay. Okay, Sharian, thank you very much for being on the call with us.
Thank you
All
for
right,
having me.
it's good what you're doing, and we encourage you to keep it up because we need more and more merchants adopting the OneCoin cryptocurrency. More merchants need to get on this platform.
Yes, they do.
It is high time, and this is why we feature the merchant of the day on our Lunch and Learn Zoom call, together with our OneAcademy, the heart of the company. So that is a wrap for the call today. We truly appreciate all of you who took the time off to come on the call, all the panelists and all the attendees, even those who are in the background doing the technical support, and also the team, the OneAcademy team, for facilitating this type of initiative so that people can truly learn. Remember, tonight and every night at 8 o'clock, we have a business opportunity presentation on the One Life Network and the OneCoin project. Also, every day except Wednesday, which is our international webinar, every day we have at 12 o'clock our Lunch and Learn Zoom calls on OneAcademy. So everyone, keep a smile on your face, you be safe, and keep building the One Life Network and the Deal Shaker. God richly bless you. Thanks for being on the call. Bye-bye.